Hi, I'm Heather Holmes, CEO and founder of TapGenes, and want to welcome you to the second part of our Getting Started with TapGenes series, which is going to focus more today on some of the fun things and other important information that you should be adding to your family health tree. As we talked a little bit about last time, our mission at TapGenes is to help families understand their shared health risks and how you can use that information to better plan for today and also how to protect you and your loved ones for tomorrow by knowing your risks. And that's really at the heart of everything that we're doing, and we hope that you're really starting to learn and embrace as well with us. So today, as I said, we're going to focus on how can you make the most of your TapGenes profile. And in this lesson, you're going to learn the importance of having a visual family health tree. You're going to understand more about why we ask about different types of data that's not strictly health related, and then how your lifestyle habits can affect health risks and treatment plans, and how these all tie together. And as you said, with TapGenes, our philosophy is you shouldn't have to be a doctor to understand your own health. We believe that this should be demystified and that you should be able to have all of the information and tools and resources to really better advocate for you and your loved ones and have it all together in one simple place where you can understand and refer back to. So that's really at the heart of what we're doing here. So TapGenes is really about how do you visualize your health. And I think that these are just some really great picture examples of some of the differences. So when you go to the doctor's office and you're asked to fill out those paper forms, those same ones you filled out 100 times every time you go to the doctor, and they ask you all those questions about your mother and your father and your siblings and what conditions or diseases they might have had and all that information. And I don't know if you're anything like me. Uh, it's even though I'm pretty aware of my family's health, sometimes I just forget when I'm filling out those forms. And before I got really involved with TapGenes, it was something that I didn't always know the depth of my family's health. So I was guessing on it. And that's really what TapGenes we're trying to do is make it fun and easy for you to be able to learn more about your family's health and to never ever ever have to guess on any of those forms. And for your loved ones that you share your TapGenes tree with, they won't have to guess anymore. And I don't want you to get overwhelmed with this because this is something that you're going to continue to refer back to and build over time. So don't overthink it. Once it's added to TapGenes, you can easily share it with your loved ones. You can continue to add things over and update things over time. Just now you'll know that it's all dedicated and kept in one place. And really, this goes to what we were trying to say is that when you go to the doctor, oftentimes the way that they're looking at things is by diagnosis codes and pieces of information that way. In TapGenes, we think that it shouldn't be this complicated thing to understand. And that's why we focus on using things like custom icons for different health conditions. So you're able to start to easily see those patterns of what are those conditions in your family. And then, for physicians and doctors, one of the most important things and the reason why they're asking you about your family health history is because your first and second degree relatives are really relevant, the information about them to help your doctor predict your disease risks and get you to screenings. Or if something's wrong with you, that information can help them figure out where should they start looking, or maybe what should they start, kind of what are the clues to look into for your health. And the third thing about why we approach TapGenes with the way we do and try and make it as fun as we do is that we believe that healthcare shouldn't be scary for people and that you're more than a number. So here's another example here on the left. If you've ever gone in, I just had surgery a couple weeks ago for a broken bone, and I had that ID band, and that really doesn't tell you the whole story about me when I go in. And in fact, the doctor who was treating me had ordered or gave me a prescription for Keflex. I'm allergic to Keflex. So even it's an antibiotic. It's a kind of a common thing, and so like, that was a mistake that was about to happen. But luckily, I had somebody there with me because I wasn't, I was not feeling as well coming out of the anesthesia, who had my information and knew that and was able to stop them before I got something that could have made me sick. So it's really important that you can help your family have all that information for you. And now, before we go and we kind of show you how do you do that, just wanted to talk a little bit more about why we're asking for some of this information that maybe is not directly related to a health condition. And so, as we talked about in lesson one, there's three big factors that impact your health: the genes you have, and the genes you share with your loved ones, the environment that you live in, and the behaviors that you have. And these three things really are what interact together, and that interaction triggers diseases. And so, just remember that genetics is one piece of that puzzle, but these other things, environment and behaviors, are equally important. So the good news about that is that even if your genes put you at higher risk for a certain disease, you are still in control of your behaviors and your environment. And there are often actionable steps that you can take to lower your disease risk when you understand that you have that risk, and then you can start evaluating, especially with your physician, things like your different behaviors you might be able to do, or environmental changes. And as I mentioned here, yeah, family health history is really what captures the effects of these interactions on disease risk. So that's why when you capture this different information in your TapGenes family tree, like where you've lived, where you've traveled, where you've moved to, things like that, all those pieces start to pull together the story of you and your family, and helps give the doctors and you a picture of maybe what are some of these interactions that are happening. Because as we said, while you can't modify your genes, you can do something to modify the behaviors and environment around you. Family history is helpful not just for a certain age or stage of life. Family history is really a risk factor for diseases throughout life and across all the stages. So that's why it's so important to understand that common thread from grandparents to parents to children to great grandchildren. Just as you keep going through the tree, it's so important, this information at each stage of a person's life. And for example, here we're looking at from infants to children, things like birth defects that you could know about either before pregnancy, getting pregnant, or to be aware of, so that the doctor is aware when you're about to have a child. To when you're in those teenage years, and being more aware of some of the things that could be triggered for a teenager, and understanding what's going through the family, and that maybe they're not alone. Maybe other people in the family have had depression, and they don't understand why they're feeling the way they feel. But if they can understand that this is not something that's just happening to them, it's something that is been within the family, it kind of takes you it take kind of takes it away from feeling like it's just you, and understanding that it's something that is a battle that other people in your family are fighting. And then, like I said, this just goes all the way through, especially as you're thinking about things later in life, like Alzheimer's disease, osteoporosis, and how do you want to live your life, and how do you want to live your end of life. And by understanding what risks you might be at risk for, you can plan ahead and share your wishes with your loved ones so that they can be respected, and that you can get the best care that you need. So tying this all back into TapGenes, where we capture this information is in what we call your personal health portrait. And in your personal health portrait, which each person on your family tree has their own personal portrait, and Diana will show you in a few minutes how you access that. Things like allergies that you've had, the different medications you've taken, immunizations, your health conditions, vitals, all of that information can be captured and stored within TapGenes. So we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. And then also in your personal health portrait is where we capture that other information that we were talking about, some of the more lifestyle, environment, behavioral. So things like different life events, getting married, having a child, moving, all of those sort of things. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this over to my teammate Diana, and she's going to actually show you how you do these different types of things like adding pictures and how to where and how to add this different information. And we will be around to answer any questions for you afterwards.
Hi, my name is Diana, and today I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to really personalize your TapGenes account. So one of the fun things about your TapGenes family health tree is how it can be really a visual reminder of all of your family memories. And we like to do that through pictures. So you'll see here in my TapGenes account right now, I don't have any pictures for any of my family members. So I definitely want to change that today. So I'm going to walk you through uploading pictures for yourself and your family and what to do if you don't have a picture for that person. So first of all, I'm going to make sure I get a picture for myself. I'm going to do that by making sure I've clicked on my profile, and then the sidebar will appear. To make any changes to your personal health portrait at any time, you always start by clicking on this pencil icon. That lets you edit. Once you've clicked on edit, then you can change all sorts of things, but for now we're just going to focus on the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and hover over this green plus sign, and that pulls up this other menu that allows me to upload a picture or choose from one of the avatars. So for now I'm going to go ahead and choose a file from my computer by clicking Choose File. That's going to pull up a window that allow you to select a file that's already on your computer. So if you have a picture of yourself ready to upload, go ahead, click on it, click Open, and there's your picture. So you can do that really for everyone in your account. And I'm going to go ahead and add a few more pictures just so I can start making my tree a little bit more fun to look at. And just a reminder, if you are importing from either Facebook or Family Search, the pictures will be imported as well. So your account may already have pictures all in it, and you may not have to do this step. But if you want to change a picture, this is exactly how you would do it. So maybe there's someone in your family that you don't have a picture for already. That's okay. You can still give them a face and still make your tree beautiful by using one of our avatars. So in this scenario, let's say my daughter, Jennifer, she's pretty young and I don't want to upload a picture of her, but I can choose from one of the pictures that we have available. Go ahead and select this one right here. And there she is. So now you see how this tree can really come to life. And, as you're talking to your family and collecting your family health history, part of the fun is really reminiscing. There's memories, maybe not even tied to health, that come up when you start these conversations. Especially talking about, grandparents and aunts and uncles and really seeing the different traits and sharing memories with them can really come to life. So once you've started adding pictures, another fun thing is sharing it with your family. So let's say you add a picture of someone and they don't like the picture that you've chosen. That's just a great excuse for them to go in and collaborate with you, and they can change their picture. Once you've invited them to join your tree, they get full control over their profile. So that's just one little way to make sure that if you put a picture of your sister on there and she doesn't like that picture, tell her that she needs to go in and accept her invitation and change her picture out. So that's changing pictures and adding avatars. Next, I will show you how to edit your basic information. So to edit your basic information, again, you go into your own personal health portrait, and then you can go and see all these different options on the right-hand side. Your basic information is the first one. So go ahead and click on this arrow, and automatically you'll see the information that you provided when you went through onboarding. Generally, everyone should have their name, birth date, gender, living, and adopted already filled out based on their onboarding. But if not, it's really easy to edit. Just click on that edit button. From there, you can make any changes that you want. And you can also add more information that we didn't ask about during onboarding. So for example, you can share your address and telephone number. You can even add your birthplace. All this information can be helpful for yourself, but also to share with family members who might be going with you to doctor's appointments or helping be your caregiver. They will have access to this if you share it with them. And you never know when this might come in handy if they're picking up prescriptions for you or talking to a doctor on your behalf. We also capture ancestry. This can be very important even for disease diagnoses. For example, there's different diseases that you're more at risk for if you're Ashkenazi Jewish or of, um, you know, Hispanic heritage. So this can be very important to make sure you have selected, again, for medical professionals using this for diagnoses. And then, of course, religion and language. These also are important if they could influence your treatment decisions. Language, of course, if there's a better way to communicate with you, especially when it comes to medical terminology and discussions. Even if you speak a second language really well, a lot of times you may not understand all the medical jargon in that language. So it's always important for people to know what your preferred language is. And then, of course, we do have our option to check living or deceased. Obviously, for yourself, you'll be living, but you can go in and fill out this same profile for other family members and indicate that they are no longer with us. And adopted, that's where you would check adopted on and off. So, life events are another example of information that we collect that isn't strictly medical. This isn't something that you would necessarily gather in a medical chart, but can be very important when it comes to understanding your health risks and for doctors to understand if they're treating you. We have a few life events right now in this uh, drop down menu. And we're always looking to add more and improve our product. So if you have other ideas or other suggestions of what you would like to see here, please let us know. Right now, we have just a few to get you started. Um, I think move to can be a very important one. This, of course, speaks to your environmental factors. Where you live could obviously affect allergies. It could affect, anything that you're exposed to of an environmental nature could explain maybe some symptoms that you're having. So I'm going to go ahead and add one for myself. I move to Cary, North Carolina. Now you'll see as I start to type, it starts to pull up and look for what you're typing matched against a Google search. So I'm going to go ahead and select Cary, North Carolina. I moved here last year. If you have, again, the exact date, great. If not, no worries. And I currently live here, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. Another great one, I'm going to go ahead and add another life event. I like to add places I've visited. This can be especially important if you have moved somewhere or visited somewhere out of the country. So I'm going to go ahead and add a trip I went to. I went to India, which obviously had lots of different environmental exposures that I wouldn't necessarily get here in the US. So I'm going to go ahead and put, I went to a wedding, and I went to several places in India while I was there. I'm going to just go ahead and list them off. This is a free text field, so go ahead and list as many as you want. And this, again, is going to match on a Google search, so you can go ahead and select whatever makes sense for you there. And then if you know the dates, again, always helpful to know exactly when you were there, especially if you are looking at something from a diagnosis point of view. So go ahead and put in your dates. And then the other cool thing is if you were traveling with family, you can add that in. So I was there with David, and I'll go ahead and select him, and I can hit save from there. Okay, great. So that's life events. There's other life events in there. Like I said, feel free to add more, as many as you want. You'll see them all show up in this sort of timeline view. If you click on this triangle, it will expand it so you can see as much information as you have for each one. And when you want to edit, you can always go to this gear and then click on edit. And then you can add more detail, change it out, remove it all together. So that's how you edit. Finally, today I wanted to also walk you through wellness. go down here and click on that. So wellness is another example of information that we capture that isn't strictly medical, but obviously plays a big part in your health history and something that medical professionals would be interested in seeing. So to give you an example, I'm going to go ahead and click Add here. We have a few options from this drop-down menu. The first one is diet. And when we say diet, obviously it could be weight loss diet, could be some sort of program that you're doing that way, but it could also be information about a diet that you have, such as being vegetarian, or in my case, I am gluten free. And I'm going to go ahead and add some notes here because I went gluten free after being diagnosed with celiac. So this lets my doctor know that if they see in my chart that I have celiac disease and they're trying to understand why I might be experiencing some symptoms, they can see that I have been on a gluten-free diet, attempting to treat, my celiac disease. So this is important for them to understand whether I am, dealing with the disease and following their treatment plan. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And another example of wellness, could be exercise, especially if you do anything extreme. If you're a, marathoner, this could be important for a doctor to understand. Might provide different insight into something you might be experiencing, or they may suggest a different treatment option. And the third option we have here is just a general one, just lifestyle. And this lets you put in free notes about other, lifestyle things that you have that you think are, important to be communicated. An obvious example would be, drinking and smoking. So let's say you have a glass of red wine 3 times a week. That's good for a doctor to know what those drinking habits are. And if you're a non-smoker, you can include that there as well. I'm sure there's other, lifestyle factors that you guys will think of that will apply to you that you think are important to capture. It's just a free notes field. So it's just a great place to have it somewhere so that it's there when you talk to a doctor, kind of remind you to bring different things up. Or if you are sharing with a family member, that they have it there as well. So hit save. And there you have the different pieces of wellness. And as with the other sections, you can click on the triangle to see the drop down and you can edit from the gear. So those are the pieces that I wanted to cover today. Like we talked about, there's lots of things that are involved in your family health history that aren't strictly genetic tests or lab results. All aspects of your life, where you've been, where you've traveled, what you do for a living, how you choose to eat and drink and exercise, all contributes to your health. So we capture all of that here. Stay tuned for our next webinar where we'll go into more details about how to health conditions and allergies and some of the other sections that deal with the more medical information.
Thanks, Diana, for taking everybody through that demo. I hope that you guys found that really helpful. And join us next time for the next part of our webinar series. We'll be sending out the invite shortly. And the next one we're going to talk about is how do you keep track of your health information? So we're going to cover the importance of having an informed patient advocate, meaning either for if you're doing that for your loved ones or if you are need somebody to advocate for you. We're going to talk about how do you get your medical records and how to request them, what can you do, what are your rights around that, and then how to organize and store all that information together within TapGenes and keeping it updated. So we're really excited to take you to the next time in this series, and please just reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.